The new car cycle is about to hit us. Get your hands on some of the newest, greatest, innovative new cars and their technology. Unfortunately means is that a lot of those cars have amazing holding power. They don't depreciate. But yet on the other hand, there's some that depreciate so aggressively, it's like throwing a rock into a lake. It's like the Hindenburg. It's also like liberal popularity here in Canada. So as great as some of those new vehicles are, you probably want to try to avoid some of these with the worst depreciation. Because if you're anything like me, I love to save my money. I can drive a car for 5 years and lose almost nothing. But unfortunately, some of these vehicles on this list of 10 hardest depreciating vehicles can lose as much as 2/3 of its original value in 5 short years. You go through $100K at something and you may only have $20,000, $30,000 left after 5 years. What a disaster. Let's get into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. So the first behemoth on our list is right here. It's a Ford. It's huge. And it's very popular. There's a lot of people buying them, but it is a Ford. As a result, they generally don't hold their value very well. There is a practical side though. I mean, you can tow with it, you can haul your kidlings in there with it, you can haul almost everybody in this vehicle with it. This thing's ginormous. Beautiful wheels on there, dropping running boards. Look at the new headlights, absolutely gorgeous. And that grille, well, that's new there as well. How about the side design of this? This thing just goes on and on and on and on. And then how about that nice wraparound tail there? Very nice looking vehicle, no doubt. And the interior looks quite sharp and pizzazz too. But regardless of how great it looks and the fact that it's on a truck chassis, still can't take away from the fact that it does lose a significant amount of money in the first 5 years, makes it a rough buy. Just over 50% is gone, up in smoke in the first 5. $33,000 is wiped off of your plate. You'll never have to worry about that 30 grand again because it's gone. Yeah, you could have spent that somewhere else. Maybe reinvested 30 grand into some kind of stock mutual. Boom. Hey, maybe you got in at the right time with some Bitcoin and you dump back out again and you made a pile of money. Whatever it is, even invested in some real estate is probably 30 grand worth using somewhere else instead of this tank. But if you need it, you need it. And if you could actually do with this something slightly smaller, I'd suggest maybe a Lexus LX. And the next one on the list that guaranteed to burn your money like it's going out of style is this beautiful little car right here. Obviously, you can tell with the rings on the front that we're talking about an Audi. Which specific Audi are we talking about? Well, we'll get to that in a second. First, you have to know part of it is just the German complexity is part of the reason these cars depreciate. People don't want to own these things once they're 3-4 years of age, and certainly outside of warranty is always a big risk. How much does this actually depreciate? Well, let's just say after 5 years, this car literally loses approximately $33,000, if that means anything to you. But let's take a quick look and we'll explain which car this is. Of course, Audi, they always certainly have the best headlights. On this front end grille, you look, it's very prominent, and it's a Quattro. That's right, has literally one of the most legendary all-wheel drive systems on the market. Beautiful wheels. Of course, this is the S-Line. Pretty. Oh, nice little fold-away mirrors and soft touch to get in. Also, large glass top. Just for all your happy little passengers to be riding along with illumination blasting down in there, at least for 3 years. The interior is absolutely gorgeous as well, so that's how these cars sell. Is brand new in the showroom. They are definitely dressed to impress. What about around the back? Well, of course, we have some really nice touches here. Love those taillights, and it's the A6 specifically that we're talking about here. Again, it's a Quattro, and you'll notice they've got these goofy little fake exhaust tips. It's not even an exhaust tip, it's just plastic filler. That is just getting cheesy if you ask me. But there are actually a host of problems that pops up with these cars. The display flakes out. Some electrical gremlins pop in from time to time, as well as passenger seat airbag sensor. And the problem was, I have a friend who's got one of these cars and he could not get that sorted out. The dealer still doesn't really have a proper solution for it. Also, oil burning, not uncommon, specifically with the TFSI. We're talking about the direct injected engine. So be prepared for extensive costs once this thing is 5, 6, 7 years of age and with significant miles on it. That's why they take a nosedive in depreciation. I'd honestly say go with maybe an Acura TLX or something along that line. You'll have much more success and far fewer problems. And another mystery meat goes to this SUV right here. We're talking about another beautiful Italian special. Again, it's one of those situations where if you have to have it, sure, go ahead. But if you don't have to have it and you're really concerned about your money, this is probably not a great place to start. But let's take a quick look around here and see what the essence is of why people are buying these. But let's look. Look at those funky headlights, and it's an Alfa Romeo. Yes, indeed. Look at that grille. It actually looks like it's kind of smiling. How cute, right? But it's almost a frown, actually, with a big schnoz. As we cycle around, it actually has a cute design to it all the way around. It certainly has a little bit of a flared haunches, which does give it a little bit of a sporty look from behind. And this essentially is why people love these. They have that European essence and that flavor. You've got 1 and 2 massive exhaust tips right there on this Stelvio right here. And as we cycle down, there's always nice finishing around the windows, little trim along the rocker panel, beautiful wheels all the way around, and look, exceptional styling every which way. Can't really go too wrong with these vehicles in terms of the style. They actually perform better for other vehicles in their class, for example, even better than BMWs. The X3 would be an example. The unfortunate part is, with some of these, because they're Italian, the care and attention to detail on the quality and the fit and finish, and specifically the R&D, isn't quite the same as you would find in a Lexus. Now, this is far more entertaining than driving a Lexus, so you have to determine where's your priorities: fun, reliability, and depreciation. There's that blend. This clearly is going to lose more value than your average Lexus and Toyota product, but it's going to be a lot more fun. So is this a priority? But these will lose 50% of their original value in a short 5 years, making them a really tough justification unless you really need to have that Italian thoroughbred like you find in these modern day Alfas. If you do care a little more about your cash, maybe look at the Lexus RX, or if you want to find the halfway point between this or as well reliability, performance, and value for the money, maybe even the BMW X3 with the 40i, which would be the inline 6. And what's the next car that's literally going to burn your cash like it's going out of style? Right here. We actually have the Mercedes right here. As you can tell, actually has the classic front grille. You'll notice that unmistakable Mercedes. Now you'll notice there's 2 different style of cars here. These are different classifications. What I'm talking about is this one here. And they do lose a significant amount of money, but not so much because of reliability. As a matter of fact, this particular car isn't particularly bad or horrible. There's not a lot of real Achilles issues with these vehicles. It's just that when they break, they're big bucks. But look at the gorgeous headlights on there and those beautiful wheels. How about this little mirror special and these great 2-tone handles? And as well, you've got some nice glass on top. Circle around, you have these wonderful little taillights on this S-Class 450. 4MATIC just means that it's got all-wheel drive to haul this Hulk through the snow and ice. Of course, there, it's absolutely gorgeous in every element. Right here, you have the wonderful 3-pointed star, and just that magnanimous grille is just gorgeous. How about the interior? What can you say? It's a Benz, and there is nothing better. It clearly even blows BMW out of the water in their 7 Series cars. Now, the beauty is these are the type of cars you see down the Autobahn in the left-hand lane, humping it on, flashing their high beams, telling that Lamborghini to get out of the way, because these things can hit the terminal speeds, especially if you've got the AMG versions. These cars are beautiful, wonderfully equipped, and some of the highest level of technology buried underneath this skin. The only problem is because of the sheer cost to fix these, to maintain them, even to do brakes and oil services and all the other things that typically wear out. It's a very, very expensive car. And usually the people who are buying them brand new have that money and they're okay. Either they get the all-inclusive maintenance packages or they just have the money because this is a pricey car to begin with. But the used car market suffers on these. These cars sitting at 4 or 5 years of age, very few people are looking for these. The younger buyers aren't looking for them because they're still kind of pricey. And the newer buyers, the people that are well-heeled, aren't typically going to spend and buy a used S-Class. They're just going to buy a new one. You can expect to lose 52% of its original value in the first 5 years, and it's going to cost you about 62 grand to do that. So what do you buy instead of an S-Class Mercedes? Well, there really isn't a replacement. If you need to have one, you just need to have one. And there's another hard loser in terms of loss and depreciation in a 5-year time frame. We're looking up at the Cadillac Escalade, but specifically the ESV, which is the long version. Look at that thing. Your kids could literally set up a soccer net back in there and have some fun in that back section and have room to play and make a little gymnasium in that back lower area there. But either way, all joking aside, we've got some great headlights, and those headlights in the front and as well as the grille lights are great. This car definitely is very bold and stands out. Basically, when they're bearing down on you, it definitely certainly has a presence. But as you look, it is essentially based on a truck chassis, which makes them relatively stout. suspension. Both end, front and back, are built like a truck. This thing can haul weight. Of course, it has great mirrors, dressed up, two-tone here. Interior is very, very clean and plush looking. Of course, you've got great running racks on top and a sunroof. Of course, you've got nice little chrome touches throughout and this wonderful hearse style back end. Look at these lights. That is a presence of its own. Look down here. Of course, this is a little better built than some of the newer generations. Running boards for the little people in your life, and as well, they have some of the biggest rims on the marketplace in modern day SUVs. The unfortunate part is some of the more recent versions have lifter issues in the engine, some electrical gremlins, and they're not exactly perfect and flawless. Mind you, few vehicles are. Either way, that takes a toll, and it's its general fit and finish and truck-likeness that hurts its depreciation. As a matter of fact, in a 5-year time frame, you can expect a Cadillac ESV like this to literally lose over half of its original value, 52.5%, or about $55,000 US. Poof, gone up in smoke. That is a mighty sturdy depreciation, yes indeed. If you need to haul a lot of weight around a lot of people, there's really very few other alternatives to this other than the Lincoln Navigator, which I can't say is all that much better in terms of quality and fit and finish as well. So it really boils down to the Lexus LX. And the next one is this hulking SUV right here, and it's an Infiniti. As you can tell, it's their large and in charge beast of burden. Right there, large, mass amounts of space, and it's Infiniti's approach to the full-size SUV. Of course, full-size truck on frame chassis. Of course, lots of great amenities. You'll notice the headlights are very, very interesting and unique. They've got this Pep Boys style grille on there and some cheesy plastic chrome. The interior looks moderate to meager, but it works, and it sort of fits the criteria for SUV, luxury SUV market. Of course, lots of cheap chrome throughout, lots of huge rim action right there. And on the QX80, this thing is massive. Definitely stands up taller than almost any other Greyhound or Red Arrow bus that you can find. You can tow some weight with it as well. And it's got some other great touches there. Look at these funky tail lights, and look at that massive roof rack on top. It actually loses about 53% of its original value, or to the tune of about $44,000 is gone. I would personally try the Acura MDX over one of these myself. Worst vehicle for depreciating like a rock is not something like this. As a matter of fact, you want to dazzle the King of England, you can't show up in something like this. It's got to be more like a Jaguar, like what we have right in front of us. We have a Jaguar XF right here. Good mid-sized luxury sedan by Jaguar. Beautiful car. I mean, just take a quick look. You have that roaring kitty right there. And this is the S. That means this is sort of middle of the road. You get a 4-cylinder supercharged V6 as well as a V8 potentially in these cars. Now, why are people buying these if they depreciate so poorly? Well, there's so many great attributes to these. Beautiful headlights on these. They have the wonderful logos. Of course, great tuck-away mirrors and wonderful keyless handles. How about all that glass on the roof? Or these little tails that give it a little sporting look on the back? Or even those great dueling exhaust pipes right there and little vents. And how about a profile that looks very, very strong and sporty? And an interior that literally makes BMW blush. Has beautiful wheels, very strong hood, and an overall presence that says, hey, yes, I've made it. I'm hobnobbing. I'm brushing shoulders with the king and queen. Yes, you can do that with this. And so people buy these cars for that presence, for the personality, for the British essence. Yes, Jaguar has always been known for that. Sure, there's been a few hiccups along the way, from infotainment systems that are floppy, as well as some flaky electrics and a leaky fuel system. However, generally speaking, get past some of those, this car is amazing. What's not so amazing is how much this actually depreciates in a 5-year time frame. How about 54% of its original value? Or to the tune of $36,000 US is hacked right off the top after you own this for about 5 short years. So it's absolutely gorgeous and stunning as this car is, and if you have to have it, I get it. I drive a Jag as well. And unless you've driven one, you just really wouldn't know. However, if you really aren't looking for that hobnob and you really just want to get the best bang for your buck, maybe you look at a Lexus ES series of cars instead. So why are people buying the Maserati Ghibli? Is it because of the hot Italian designs? Could it be the European style in general? How about those great wheels? How about the rear tail light finish or the wonderful headlights? The interior even slightly looks luxurious, at least from a distance. And once you get inside, sadly, many people are disappointed with the interior finishing, which follows suit more with many Chrysler products. It's quite disappointing. And then that with the abysmal reliability record makes people wonder why they ever bought it in the first place, and it winds up becoming a much stronger lease rather than a purchase, because you can expect to lose almost 58% of its original value, to the tune of over $50,000 are lost in the first 5 years. If you need to go European, consider a modern day C-Class or E-Class Mercedes. Outside of that, stick with what you know. Acura and Lexus have your show. And here's another one that's literally going to ensure that it keeps you in the poorhouse. Maybe not the first year, maybe not the second, maybe not even the third, but I guarantee you a Range Rover in the 5th year, you'll have lost a significant amount of money. You better be friends with the King and Queen of England, otherwise you're going to be broke. Just to keep this thing on the road, yeah, there's a few problems. For example, black smoke out of the exhaust, carbon buildup in the intake. You can get leaks, rattles, fitment problems, electrical gremlins and glitches. You get issues with water ingress. You can also get the electric e-brake, that you pull that little trigger. That can be a problematic with these particular vehicles. But it's just the sheer magnitude and cost to keep these things on the road and maintenance that freaks people right out. So after that 3 or 4 year, or if you do that prepaid maintenance, you're okay. And if you have the extended warranty, you're okay. Go beyond that, ouch. So then basically at 5 years, these vehicles lose a ton of money. I mean, sure, they're gorgeous. That's why people buy them. I mean, look at the full-size Range Rover with these cool little vents on the side, great little trim on the side there, big wheels, of course, lovely tail light assembly, and I love this new style trim along the back there. It's almost like a light bar, but it's not. Of course, lots of great touches down the sides, high quality look throughout. I mean, you've got glass on the roof, you've got some of the nicest interior anywhere at any price, but all of this goodness comes at a significant price. Anybody have any guesses how much you actually lose on this? Well, let's just say in 5 years, you can expect to lose approximately 57% of its original value. This is based on CarEdge.com, of course, and more importantly, almost $74,000, poof, up in smoke if you decided to hold on for it that long. You're pretty much in for the long haul. And so if I can make a recommendation, if you're not as worried about the clout and then brand name, of course, maybe consider a Lexus LX, or maybe in a slightly scaled down, the GX, which is essentially a Land Rover Prado. So lots of great options out there for alternatives, and these are amazing vehicles, literally some of the best off-roading capability right tucked under that beautiful skin. Just know it comes at a cost. And the big winner, number one, gets the crown for most depreciating vehicle on the used car market, is right here. What we're talking about here is the smaller brother of the actual car, which is this 7 Series BMW. Is literally the worst car on the market after 5 years of value. Why is that? It's because it's their ultimate and flagship. Everybody knows that a modern day BMW is very complex, performs well, is exceptionally well engineered, except to the fact that their engineered obsolescence, in my opinion, is what hurts them the most. But just take a quick look at in modern day BMW. Here we have a 5 Series right here. This is a 528, and this obviously is the smaller engine. It's xDrive, so they do come in all-wheel drive, even in the 7 Series cars. You do get some great exhaust tips on the 7 Series and 5 Series cars. You do get some nice trim along the edges. You do get oversized glass on top, especially for the larger cars like the 7 and the 5 Series cars such as this. Beautiful alloys, beautiful angel eye headlights you'll find typically on both these cars. Now the modern 7 Series has the larger kidney-shaped grills, and the interior is very, very clean and well-wearing, and this is always what attracts the new buyers into the showroom. The real problem is when you get into the premium cars, all of the technology that goes into BMW's arsenal is tucked under there. Some of it's reliable, some of it not as much. Regardless, every piece is very expensive, whether it's plastic, metal, aluminum, it all is expensive to replace on these cars. Historically, coolant leaks, oil leaks, bottom to the top, oil filter housing leaks, valve cover leaks, water pumps, thermostats, you name it, it'll fail. And the worst part is, as you move up this ladder, if you get into the 750, which is the twin turbo V8, or the 760, which is the V12 in the 7 Series cars, they are going to be even that much worse because they start way up here in terms of value, and they eventually come down to where most cars eventually settle down, is almost null and void. So how much does a 7 Series depreciate in 5 years? Well, let me tell you, you can actually expect to lose up to 57% of its original value, or about $62,000 off of its original MSRP in 5 short years. We're getting awfully close to 2/3 of its original value up in smoke in 5. And while this hurts me to say, because obviously Mercedes-Benz is also on the list, but it actually loses less, I would almost suggest going with an S-Class before even going with a 7 Series BMW, or if you really want to settle out and minimize your losses, go with a Lexus. And unfortunately, with these vehicles costing you nearly 2 arms and 3 legs, you're definitely going to want to check that video too, because it's going to steer you away from some of the list of the worst transmissions on the market today, because in fact, a lot of those can end up costing you thousands of dollars in repairs. So hope to see each and every one of you real soon. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.